Are you tired of that nagging feeling when you reach out and hear nothing? That hollow echo where a response should be? Does it trigger that urge to double text, to seek validation, to somehow force her attention? Stop. Take a breath. Because in those moments of silence, there's a powerful opportunity for you to cultivate something far more valuable than her fleeting attention, your inner peace. This isn't about playing manipulative games or trying to destroy anyone's ego. This is about understanding the Stoic wisdom that teaches us where our true power lies, not in controlling others, but in controlling ourselves. We're going to explore how to respond to being ignored not with reactivity, but with reasoned action and unwavering self-respect. Ready to shift your perspective and reclaim your power? Let's begin. The ancient Stoics understood a profound truth: external events hold no inherent power over us, it is our judgments about them that do. So, when faced with the silence of another, particularly a woman whose attention you desire, the natural inclination might be to feel slighted, to let your ego take a battering. But what if you could choose a different path? A path paved with self-awareness, resilience, and a deep understanding of what truly matters. This isn't a guide on how to manipulate or destroy someone's ego, that's a game with no real winners. Instead, we're going to delve into the Stoic principles that teach us how to respond to being ignored not with anger or desperation, but with wisdom and self-mastery. We'll explore practical steps you can take, rooted in Stoic philosophy, to navigate this situation with grace, maintain your composure, and ultimately, command respect simply by the way you carry yourself. Prepare to transcend the need for external validation and discover a deeper source of strength within. Let's get into it. Understanding the psychology of ignoring. This chapter aims to dissect the complex psychological and social dynamics that contribute to why women might ignore men. It moves beyond simplistic explanations to explore the ingrained conditioning, subconscious drives, and strategic social maneuvering that can underlie this behavior. Understanding these nuances is crucial for men to navigate these situations with greater awareness and emotional intelligence. The social currency of attention: how women are conditioned to leverage male interest for status. From a young age, societal structures often position women as the recipients of male attention. This attention, in many social circles, translates to a form of social currency. The number of admirers, the intensity of their interest, and the perceived desirability they project onto a woman can elevate her social standing within her peer group. This isn't necessarily a conscious manipulation, but rather a learned behavior reinforced by cultural narratives and social interactions. Think about media portrayals, romantic comedies, and even casual conversations. Often, a woman's desirability is linked to the amount of male attention she garners. This can inadvertently condition women to view male interest as a resource, something to be managed and, at times, leveraged. Responding to every advance or maintaining consistent communication with every interested man becomes logistically and emotionally draining. Therefore, selective attention, or even outright ignoring, can become a filtering mechanism, a way to manage this influx of interest and prioritize connections that align with their desires and perceived social standing. Furthermore, the act of being pursued can, unfortunately, become intertwined with a woman's sense of self-worth in some social environments. The validation derived from male attention can create a subconscious incentive to maintain a certain level of aloofness or selective engagement. This isn't to say all women consciously engage in this, but the underlying social dynamics can subtly influence behavior. The perceived value of their attention increases when it's not freely given. This creates a dynamic where responding to everyone might diminish the perceived significance of their engagement with specific individuals. Consider the digital age, where likes, comments, and direct messages serve as quantifiable metrics of attention. For women who receive a high volume of such interactions, responding to every single one is simply unsustainable. Ignoring becomes a necessary tool for managing their online presence and mental well-being. This digital landscape amplifies the existing social dynamic, where the ability to command attention can be a source of social capital. Female hypergamy, the subconscious drive to secure the highest value mate, leading to constant option evaluation. Hypergamy, the tendency for women to seek mates of equal or higher social status, resources, and perceived value, is a deeply rooted evolutionary and socio-psychological phenomenon. While the overt manifestations of this drive vary greatly in modern society, the underlying subconscious inclination can still influence mate selection and interaction patterns. From an evolutionary perspective, women have a greater biological investment in offspring. Historically, securing a partner who could provide resources and protection increased the chances of survival and successful rearing of children. This ingrained drive can translate into a subconscious evaluation process when interacting with potential partners. Men are often assessed, consciously or unconsciously, based on a range of factors including their ambition, financial stability, perceived or real, social standing, confidence, and overall perceived value as a long-term mate. Ignoring can, in this context, become a byproduct of this ongoing evaluation. A woman might be interacting with multiple men simultaneously, each being assessed against her ideal criteria. If a man's perceived value doesn't align with her aspirations or if she identifies stronger potential in others, her engagement might wane, leading to delayed responses or eventual silence. This isn't necessarily malicious, it can be a natural, albeit sometimes frustrating, consequence of this subconscious filtering process. Furthermore, the abundance of choice in the modern dating landscape, particularly with online dating platforms, can exacerbate this tendency. Women often have a larger pool of potential partners readily available, making the process of continuous evaluation and comparison more prevalent. This constant exposure to alternatives can lead to a quicker dismissal of individuals who don't immediately capture their interest or meet their perceived criteria. It's crucial to understand that value is subjective and multifaceted. It encompasses not just material resources but also personality traits, emotional intelligence, social skills, and alignment with a woman's personal values and long-term goals. The process of evaluation is often nuanced and not always consciously articulated. However, the underlying drive to secure a partner who offers the best possible prospects can contribute to patterns of selective attention and, at times, ignoring. Control games and ego tests, using silence to test your value and self-control. While not all instances of ignoring stem from conscious manipulation, some women might employ silence as a form of control game or an ego test. This behavior can be driven by a desire to gauge a man's reaction, assess his level of neediness, or subtly assert dominance in the interaction. By withholding attention, a woman can observe how a man responds. Does he become frantic, repeatedly texting and demanding answers? Does he exhibit insecurity or anger? These reactions can be interpreted as signs of lower value or a lack of self-control, potentially making him less attractive in her eyes. Conversely, a man who maintains his composure, respects her silence, and doesn't become overly reactive might be perceived as more secure and self-assured. This type of behavior can stem from various motivations. It might be a subconscious test of a man's resilience and emotional stability. It could also be a way for a woman who has experienced being overwhelmed by needy or aggressive attention in the past to establish boundaries and filter out those who exhibit similar tendencies. In some cases, it might unfortunately be a more deliberate tactic to inflate her own ego by observing the extent of a man's pursuit. It's important to differentiate between a genuine need for space or a busy schedule and a deliberate attempt to provoke a reaction. Recognizing the patterns and the underlying motivations can help men avoid falling into the trap of emotional reactivity and instead respond with self-respect. The validation addiction trap: how both men and women seek dopamine hits from attention. In the age of instant communication and social media, both men and women can become susceptible to the validation addiction trap. The ping of a notification, the positive comment, the acknowledgement of our existence triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This creates a feedback loop where we seek external validation to feel good. When a woman receives attention from men, it can provide a dopamine hit, reinforcing the behavior of being receptive to or even subtly soliciting that attention. Similarly, men experience a sense of validation when their advances are reciprocated. However, when that expected response is absent, it can trigger feelings of rejection and anxiety. The act of ignoring can, unintentionally or intentionally, disrupt this validation cycle. For the man being ignored, the lack of response can feel like a withdrawal, leading to increased efforts to regain that dopamine hit. This can manifest as over-texting, seeking explanations, or engaging in other needy behaviors that often have the opposite of the intended effect. Understanding this underlying neurochemical mechanism can help both men and women become more aware of their own motivations and reactions in social interactions. Recognizing the potential for validation seeking can foster healthier communication patterns and reduce the likelihood of engaging in or being affected by manipulative behaviors. Attention as a status weapon, ignoring as a method to boost a woman's social value. In certain social dynamics, particularly within dating circles, a woman's perceived scarcity can increase her desirability. By being selective with her attention and, at times, ignoring certain individuals, she can inadvertently or intentionally create an aura of high value. The logic, however flawed, is that if multiple men are vying for her attention and she is not readily available, she must be highly sought after. This can manifest in various ways, from delayed responses to being consistently busy or unavailable. The underlying message, whether consciously intended or not, is that her time and attention are valuable and not easily obtained. This perceived scarcity can, unfortunately, make some men more eager to pursue her, falling into the trap of believing that winning her attention is a mark of their own status or worth. This dynamic is often amplified by social proof. If other men are visibly interested, it can further enhance a woman's perceived desirability in the eyes of others. Ignoring can become a subtle way of managing this social perception and maintaining a position of perceived higher value within the dating hierarchy. Why it's often not personal, sometimes it's boredom, mood shifts, or seeking a reaction. It's crucial for men to remember that being ignored is not always a direct reflection of their individual worth or actions. There are numerous other factors unrelated to the specific interaction that can lead to a woman's silence. Sometimes, the reason is simply boredom. Reclaiming emotional control instantly. This video serves as your immediate toolkit for regaining command over your emotional responses, particularly when faced with the triggering situation of being ignored. It moves beyond theoretical understanding and provides practical, in-the-moment techniques rooted in Stoic philosophy to break reactive cycles and cultivate inner calm. The power of pause, breaking reactive cycles. Our natural inclination when feeling slighted or anxious is often to react immediately. This can manifest as an impulsive text, a defensive comment, or an internal spiral of negative thoughts. The power of pause is a conscious intervention in this automatic response loop. It's the deliberate act of creating space between the stimulus, being ignored, and your reaction. This brief gap, even just a few seconds, is where your power lies, the ability to choose your response rather than being dictated by your emotions. Physiologically, this pause allows your nervous system to shift from the sympathetic fight or flight response to the parasympathetic rest and digest state. When you feel that surge of anxiety or anger, your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, and your mind races. A deliberate pause, often coupled with a deep breath, can help regulate these physiological responses, bringing you back to a state of greater calm and clarity. Practically, implementing the power of pause involves recognizing the initial emotional trigger. When you feel that familiar pang of rejection or frustration, consciously tell yourself to stop. Resist the urge to immediately reach for your phone or verbalize your feelings. Instead, take a deep breath. Focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your lungs. Count to 3 or 5 slowly. This simple act of delaying your reaction creates a window for rational thought to intervene. During this pause, ask yourself, what is the immediate urge I feel, and what is the wisest, most self-respecting way to respond in this moment? Often, the initial urge is driven by ego and insecurity, while the wiser response is rooted in Stoic principles of self-control and acceptance of what you cannot control. The pause allows you to consciously choose the latter. This practice, repeated consistently. Stoic affirmations, real-time thought replacements. Our internal dialogue plays a crucial role in shaping our emotional state. When we are ignored, negative thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or, "she doesn't care," can quickly take root and amplify feelings of hurt and frustration. Stoic affirmations are powerful tools for interrupting these negative thought patterns and replacing them with rational, empowering beliefs. These affirmations are short, powerful statements that you can consciously repeat to yourself in the moment you feel triggered. They are designed to realign your thinking with Stoic principles and shift your focus from external validation to internal strength. Examples of Stoic affirmations you can use when being ignored. Her actions are outside of my control. My response is my power. My worth is not determined by the attention of others. This situation is an opportunity to practice self-mastery. I choose to remain calm and unbothered. My peace comes from within, not from external validation. I focus on what I can control, my thoughts and actions. This temporary silence does not diminish my value. The key to making these affirmations effective is to repeat them with intention and belief. When you feel the urge to react negatively, consciously bring one of these affirmations to mind and repeat it several times. Visualize the truth of the statement. Feel the shift in your internal state as you redirect your thoughts. Consistent use of Stoic affirmations can gradually rewire your thought patterns, making it easier to respond to challenging situations with greater emotional resilience. They act as mental anchors, grounding you in Stoic principles when your emotions threaten to overwhelm you. Writing as a weapon, journaling and its psychological benefits. Journaling is a potent tool for self-reflection and emotional regulation, aligning perfectly with Stoic practices of introspection and self-examination. When faced with the emotional turbulence of being ignored, writing down your thoughts and feelings can provide clarity, perspective, and a sense of control. The act of putting your thoughts onto paper, or a digital document, creates a physical distance between you and your emotions. It allows you to observe them more objectively, rather than being swept away by them. This process of externalization can be incredibly therapeutic, helping to diffuse intense emotions and identify underlying beliefs and triggers. From a Stoic perspective, journaling can be used to examine your judgments about the situation. Are you making assumptions about the woman's intentions? Are you assigning negative meaning to her silence? Writing these thoughts down allows you to scrutinize their validity and challenge irrational beliefs. Furthermore, journaling can be a space to practice gratitude and focus on what you do control. Instead of dwelling on the lack of attention, you can shift your focus to your own efforts, achievements, and the things in your life that bring you joy and fulfillment. This reinforces a sense of internal locus of control and reduces your dependence on external validation. Regular journaling, even for just a few minutes each day, can significantly enhance your self-awareness and emotional resilience. It provides a safe space to process difficult emotions, identify patterns in your reactions, and consciously choose more Stoic and self-respecting responses. Physical discipline equals mental discipline. Why fitness and hardship make you calmer? The Stoics recognize the interconnectedness of the mind and body. Cultivating physical discipline through exercise and embracing challenges can have a profound impact on your mental and emotional resilience. Regular physical activity releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects and can help reduce stress and anxiety. The discipline required to maintain a fitness routine, setting goals, pushing your limits, and staying consistent, translates directly to mental discipline. It strengthens your willpower, your ability to tolerate discomfort, and your capacity for perseverance. Embracing hardship, whether through intense workouts, challenging outdoor activities, or even deliberate acts of discomfort, like cold showers, builds mental toughness. It teaches you that you can endure difficult situations and that your feelings are not always reliable indicators of reality. This resilience makes you less likely to be thrown off balance by the relatively minor discomfort of being ignored. When your body is strong and you are accustomed to overcoming physical challenges, the emotional sting of rejection or being ignored often feels less significant. You develop a deeper sense of self-efficacy and inner strength that is not dependent on external validation. The discipline you cultivate in the physical realm spills over into your mental and emotional life, making you calmer, more centered, and less reactive to external stimuli. The indifferent dominance posture, subtle ways to project power. Dominance, in this context, is not about aggression or overt control, but rather a quiet confidence and self-assuredness that projects inner strength and makes you less susceptible to being emotionally swayed by others' actions. The indifferent dominance posture is a subtle way of embodying this inner state through your physical presence and demeanor. It involves maintaining good posture, standing tall with your shoulders back and your head held high, not in arrogance, but in self-respect. It includes making steady eye contact, not in a challenging way, but as a sign of confidence and engagement. It also involves speaking calmly and deliberately, without the need to fill every silence or seek approval in your tone. This posture communicates that you are comfortable in your own skin, that your sense of self-worth is not dependent on external validation, and that you are not easily ruffled by the actions of others. When you project this quiet confidence, it naturally commands respect and makes you less of a target for ego games or dismissive behavior. The key is that this posture stems from an internal state of self-acceptance and emotional control. It's not about faking it, but about cultivating genuine inner strength that naturally radiates outward. When you are secure in yourself, the need to seek external approval diminishes, and your demeanor reflects that unshakable confidence. How to act when she ignores you. This chapter provides a concrete, step-by-step blueprint for navigating the situation when a woman ignores you. It emphasizes non-reactive, high-value responses rooted in Stoic principles and aims to shift the power dynamic in your favor by focusing on your own self-respect and detachment. Absolute no contact. Why no chase is your first, unbreakable rule. When faced with being ignored, the natural inclination for many men, driven by ego and a desire for resolution, is to pursue. This can manifest as repeated texts, calls, attempts to bump into her, or enlisting mutual friends to intervene. However, this chasing behavior is almost always counterproductive and signals neediness, insecurity, and a lack of self-respect. Absolute no contact is your first and most crucial rule. It means ceasing all attempts to initiate communication with her. No texts, no calls, no social media interactions, liking, commenting, or even viewing her stories excessively, and no reaching out through mutual acquaintances. This silence on your part serves several critical purposes. It stops feeding the dynamic. If she is intentionally testing you or playing a game, your continued pursuit gives her the validation she seeks and reinforces the behavior. Cutting off contact removes this reward. It allows you to regain your emotional equilibrium. Constant attempts to reach someone who is ignoring you create anxiety and obsession. No contact provides the space you need to detach emotionally, regain perspective, and focus on your own well-being. It subtly shifts the power dynamic. When you stop chasing, you communicate that your time and attention are valuable and not to be taken for granted. This can create curiosity on her part and make her reconsider her actions. It demonstrates self-respect. By refusing to beg for attention, you project an image of self-assuredness and high value. You are signaling that you know your worth and will not chase someone who doesn't reciprocate your interest. It creates space for potential re-engagement on her terms. If she eventually decides to reach out, it will be because she genuinely wants to, not because she felt pressured or pursued. This puts you in a stronger position. Implementing absolute no contact can be challenging, especially if you have strong feelings for the person. However, it is essential for reclaiming your emotional control and projecting a high-value image. Treat it as an unbreakable rule, a testament to your self-respect and inner strength. Leveraging silence as a power move. Your silence in response to being ignored is not passive, it is an active and powerful communication in itself. It speaks volumes about your self-respect, your emotional control, and your understanding of healthy boundaries. When you refuse to chase or react emotionally to being ignored, you are essentially saying, I value myself and my time. I will not beg for attention, and I am unbothered by your silence. This can be incredibly disarming to someone who might be expecting a needy or reactive response. Your calm indifference can disrupt their expectations and make them question their own behavior. Silence creates a vacuum. In the absence of your communication, the other person's mind may start to fill in the blanks. They might wonder why you haven't reached out, if you're okay, or if they misjudged the situation. This can create curiosity and intrigue, potentially leading them to reconsider their decision to ignore you. It distracts you from obsessing. Focusing on concrete goals and activities provides a healthy outlet for your energy and attention, reducing the likelihood of dwelling on the situation. It boosts your self-esteem. Achieving progress in these areas naturally increases your confidence and sense of self-worth, making you less reliant on external validation. It makes you a more attractive and high-value man. Becoming fitter, more financially stable, and acquiring new skills makes you a more desirable partner in the long run, regardless of the outcome with the person who is currently ignoring you. It demonstrates inner strength and resilience, showing that you are not derailed by being ignored but instead use it as motivation for self-improvement. Speaks volumes about your character. Use this time to hit the gym, work on your career or business, learn a new language, develop a creative hobby, or invest in your personal development. This not only makes you a better version of yourself but also subtly communicates that your life is fulfilling and progressing regardless of her attention. Subtle social proofing, letting others broadcast your value. Social proof is the psychological phenomenon where people tend to adopt the opinions and actions of others. Subtly showcasing that you are valued and desired by others can indirectly increase your attractiveness and make the person who is ignoring you reconsider their actions. This is not about overtly trying to make her jealous, but rather about living your life authentically and allowing your social interactions to speak for themselves. This can involve being seen enjoying yourself with friends, pictures or stories on social media, if you choose to use it. Showing you having a good time with your social circle can subtly communicate that you are socially connected and valued. Engaging positively with other women, non-romantically interactions that show you are comfortable and respected by other women can increase your perceived desirability. Receiving positive attention or recognition in your endeavors, achievements in your career, hobbies, or social activities that are publicly acknowledged can serve as social proof of your value. The key is to be genuine and not to stage these situations solely to elicit a reaction. Focus on building a fulfilling life, and let the positive social signals naturally follow. Public indifference, private improvement, strategic detachment. The most powerful stance you can adopt when being ignored is one of public indifference coupled with private improvement. This means outwardly appearing unbothered by the silence while inwardly using the time for self-reflection and growth. Your public demeanor should convey that you are secure in yourself and that her lack of attention does not affect your happiness or your sense of worth. This doesn't mean being fake or pretending, but rather cultivating a genuine inner calm that radiates outward. Simultaneously, use the private time away from the interaction to focus on your own well-being, pursue your goals, and address any underlying insecurities that might have been triggered by being ignored. This strategic detachment allows you to maintain your dignity and emerge from the situation stronger, regardless of the outcome. By focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and personal growth, you reclaim your power and become less susceptible to the emotional games of others. Your indifference becomes a shield against their attempts to diminish you, and your private improvement ensures that you emerge from the situation as a higher value man. Destroying her ego without saying a word. This chapter focuses on indirect, nonverbal strategies to reclaim power and disrupt ego-driven behavior without engaging in direct confrontation or manipulative tactics. The emphasis is on elevating your own life and embodying a mindset of abundance and self-worth. Visible lifestyle upgrade, letting her see your glow-up indirectly. One of the most effective ways to subtly impact someone who is ignoring you, especially if their behavior stems from ego or a desire to test your value, is to visibly upgrade your lifestyle. This isn't about flaunting or seeking her attention directly, but about genuinely improving your life and allowing the results to speak for themselves. This glow-up can encompass various aspects. Physical transformation. Investing in your fitness and appearance can lead to a noticeable improvement in your confidence and how you are perceived by others. This could involve hitting the gym consistently, adopting a healthier diet, upgrading your wardrobe, or refining your grooming habits. The goal is to look and feel your best, not to impress her specifically, but as a byproduct of self-respect and a commitment to your well-being. Professional or financial advancement, focusing on your career or business and achieving tangible progress can significantly boost